This is AP Environmental Science, Chapter 2, Part 3. We're going to talk about the laws of thermodynamics. And so the first law of thermodynamics says that energy is neither created nor destroyed. And so just like matter, energy is the same. You can't create it, you can't destroy it. You also can't get something for nothing, and so you have to input something in this system in order to get something out. So in order for you to go on a run or do some sort of exercise, you have to input some sort of energy. Same with your car. You have to input some sort of energy in order to get some sort of energy outputs, the movement of your car. And so in this case, you're taking chemical energy, this potential energy stored in gas, in the bonds of gasoline. That gasoline is then going to combust in the engine. It's going to move a piston, which is now kinetic energy, which is then going to move a drivetrain and then move the wheels. And so this is going to be then ultimately move your car. I guess in this diagram it's going to move your car backwards. This is useful energy, kinetic energy. It moves the car. So you're taking potential energy and you're converting it to kinetic energy. There's also always wasted energy. So it's not destroyed, but it's just wasted and transferred in different ways from one place to another. And so it can be wasted in the form of heat, friction with the road or the brakes. Sound energy can be lost into its outside or external environment and that sort of thing. This is actually a big component of where the energy in gasoline goes, is wasted energy, and only a small percentage is in useful energy. I want to say internal combustion engine, something like 17% efficient. So you put in a certain amount of energy and you can only get 17% of the work out of it. So don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's about what an internal combustion engine is. So the second law of thermodynamics says that energy is transformed and the quantity of energy remains the same, but the ability for it to do work diminishes. So over here you have a coal power plant and you burn a certain amount of coal. 65% approximately is going to be lost into the atmosphere in the form of heat energy, and you're only going to have 35% that's actually going to go to the power lines. Power lines are going to then transport that electricity, that energy, to your home, and approximately 10% is going to be lost in noise and heat, and then 90% is going to actually get to your home. Then it gets to the light bulb. You turn on the light, and I gotta move this over, and then the light bulb is only 5% efficient. So 5% of that energy is actually used, and then 95% of that energy is lost in heat. And so we'll do calculations, and I'll show you how to do calculations, but we can calculate how efficient energy can be transferred and used. So you've inputted a certain amount of energy, but you only get 1.6% out of that. And so this is where we talk about energy efficiency. And this is the ratio or the amount of work that is done to the total amount of energy that is introduced to the system. So you introduce 10 gallons of gasoline. Well, what's the ratio of work that's actually being done to the movement of the car? And so energy efficiency is a big topic, and we'll talk more about it. So for example, if you have a traditional fireplace, I can't seem to figure that out. Traditional fireplace, you may use this amount of wood to get and heat the room to a certain temperature. You input this amount of wood, you get out a certain amount of actual heat energy. Modern wood stove may be more efficient, and so you can put less actual wood in that fireplace, but then get the same amount of work done by it being more efficient. So this is a very important topic in environmental sciences. We talk about energy efficiencies between new and old technologies, and also some old technologies being quite a bit more efficient than some of our new ones. We also talk about energy quality, and so believe it or not, gasoline has a very high energy quality. So the amount of work you get out of a particular amount of gasoline is quite high, and so energy quality is a very important topic. You're going to power your car with gasoline because it has high energy quality, and not wood, because wood has a low energy quality. Entropy is something you probably talked about in another class, and this is where all systems, no matter what they are, move towards disorder or randomness rather than towards order. To bring them back to order, you have to input new energy from outside the system in order to create order. So your bodies do this. If you don't input energy, your body moves towards disorder, but you eat, and that energy can create new order. Energy conversions are the underlying process of all ecological processes. And so everything you see in nature is dependent on this concept of energy conversions. Hawk eats a rat, the rat ate the grass, etc. Energy conversions are absolutely necessary to understand. So you look at a tropical rainforest, it has a high energy input from the sun, and so you have a lot of things going on in a tropical rainforest because that high energy input from the sun. So if you go to the tundra, there's less energy input from the sun, and so there's not quite as much life and things taking place because you have a lower energy input. Same with squid at the bottom of the ocean, low energy input, and these hydrothermal vents, they have to get chemical energy input to sort of function. So it's all about energy conversions, taking that sunlight, that chemical energy, and making it usable. And so we'll move on to this one. Open systems versus closed systems. An open system exchanges matter or energy across system boundaries. So here's an open system. Sun gives us energy. We use that energy in this system, like within the system, but also energy's taken out of the system as well. So it's sort of this open loop, not a closed system. So closed system is where matter and energy does not occur across boundaries. So there's no inputs into the system, and there's no outputs. So open system and closed system. A steady state is when a system, when the input is equal to the output. So here we have an input of 1 liter per second for water into this pail, and we have an output of 1 liter per second. And so it's always going to remain at 10 liters. So this is important, this concept of a steady state. And so we have, hopefully you've talked or learned a little bit about negative feedback loops and positive feedback loops. And so negative feedback loop is like you and I when we're healthy. The system responds to change by returning to its original state. So you get sick, you input energy, and you return to your original healthy state. And so this is a negative feedback loop. Very important to understand that. Positive feedback loops is when instead of going back to its original state, it increases the rate in which the change is occurring. So you start to get sick, and rather than getting better, which would be a negative feedback loop, you then get more and more sick and more and more sick, and this is called a positive feedback loop. Here's a diagram you should take a look at. It's in your book as well, and that'll be it for Chapter 2.